Hello everyone, welcome to the ChargedShot Gamescast. Each and every week, best friends from YouTube and Twitch come together and share our thoughts on the gaming industry. Today we have Justin.
Hi everyone.
We have Lo.
Hello.
And today we have a very special guest here, Elvia.
Hi.
Alright, so we usually just talk about what's been going on in our lives in the week. I had something very exciting happen. I came home from work one day, came in, say hello to everyone, went to go park the car, came back a minute later, and the frying pan was on fire.
Oh my god.
It was on fire from the bottom, like it was flaming and everything. My dad came upstairs, he's like, what the hell's going on? He grabs the frying pan and throws it into the snow outside to cool it down.
Good old Canada.
Good thing you're in Canada, yeah.
It's good. That's one of the good things about having snow here, is you can just throw everything on fire in the snow.
Snow is fireproof.
Is that a common occurrence? It's a good thing we have snow in Canada because of how often things just randomly catch on fire.
No, they were cooking rice for dinner, and my sister was supposed to watch the stove, and she did not.
Always watch the stove. Lesson learned.
So yeah, that was the most exciting thing that happened this week for me. I also couldn't get a lot of sleep, so I ended up binge watching Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3. Watched Apollo 13 for the first time.
First time.
Old school. We watched that in school. Like that was an educational movie in my school because public schooling in America.
I wish we had cool American things like that.
Let the movies do the learning.
We get the smarts real good.
The smart's real good, especially in Kansas.
Zero's not in Kansas.
It's close enough.
Oh yeah, I thought you were in Kansas. I don't know. I lumped the Midwest together, so.
Yeah, I mean it's cornfields for days. So, and at some point there's a state border in between the cornfields.
All right. Anyone else got any exciting news like fire happening?
I actually have a story this week that's more interesting than last week. So actually, like pretty much right after we finished the podcast last Saturday, my fiance and I took my drone that I got for Christmas outside for the first time. Like it's been really cold and haven't really been like in the mood to go do that. So we finally took it out to a park to actually like fly it outside to see how it works, properly with wind and everything. Because until then we'd just been flying it around inside, torturing the cats. There's only so much you could do. Yeah. And I was wanting to put together like a review for it. So I was like, okay, let's go, take it outside to a park, actually like have the camera on the actual drone going, kind of get some of that footage, and proper lighting and everything, see how it looks. So we take it out to this big open field, kind of around like a walking path, and, just start kind of, flying it around a bit, trying to get used to the controls and everything again, cause it's been a few weeks. And this, family walks by, like husband, wife, and their little kid. And the little kid was like so in awe over this drone. So I kind of, I fly it across the field, kind of like, mess with him a little bit, like, hey, look at it. And, it was going a little bit far out of the way. So I tried to hit the landing button, cause I'm not good at landing it yet. So there's like a button that basically just drops it out of the sky. And I hit the return home button instead, which in theory is a better button to hit. But I learned after smacking it into my cat by accident that it doesn't work. It just kind of flies off in a random direction it thinks is home. I don't know. Maybe I just don't know where this thing's home is. Maybe I stole it. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I hit the return home button instead, and it just starts like coasting off, like further across the field, like out of range of the controller. And this kid's like, oh no! Like, just has no idea what's happening. So I start running out the field after it, cause there's a bunch of brush and stuff, and then like the rest of the park, like a street, and then like more brush basically, probably a mile or two out. So I don't see where it went. And we start doing like a kind of a perimeter check, just, do a circle around the brush and then kind of widen out a little bit, do another circle, widen out a little bit, do another circle. And then at some point I got to the street, which, obviously it wasn't on the street. I could see it from like everything around me. So I go across the street, like again, like a mile away almost, and check the brush over there. And every now and then I would hit the turn on button, like to start the motor, just to kind of see if I can hear the of it starting up. Cause it didn't die. It was just out of range. And so I go out, like, basically as far as I could, like, without, hitting, like, a fence, and hear this tiny little kind of in the distance a little bit, and I see the lights on the bottom of the drone flashing, like, on the other side of the fence, kind of, like, wedged in some weeds. I have no idea how I got out that far, but yeah, I have to, like, basically parkour my way over the fence. Because there was like a downed tree limb that was kind of like on top of the fence. So I'd like climb this downed tree limb over the barbed wire fence.
Wow. Jeez. You sound like you went on an adventure.
Yeah. I mean, this drone was relatively expensive. I wasn't going to just like let it go after the first flight.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I grab it out of the brush, throw it over to the other side of the fence, hop back over, run back up. Brooke, my fiance, was like, she called me. She's like, "Where did you go?" I was like, "Oh, you have no idea." I got like some pictures and stuff of how far away it was. Kind of a video of like where we started and where it went. So I'm going to try to compile all of that as far as the review of this drone is concerned. Cause after all of that, it still worked. Like,
nice.
It was kind of amazing, but yeah. So that was fun. That was a fun way to spend my Saturday. Go tracking down a drone in the middle of the woods.
I mean, I guess since this is my first time on here, I should explain a little bit about me, but I kind of don't know. This week has been kind of crazy just because I don't know if you guys, I know Justin and Thomas know, but I started a new job like 2 weeks ago, and we're getting ready to move because this new job is 58 miles away from where I live currently. So yeah, the commute has been brutal for the last 2 weeks, which is why I have been doing absolutely nothing other than work and like stuff I need to get done because I've just been so tired. But I mean, the new job is going really well. The people there are really cool, and I feel appreciated at my job, which is always nice. But so that's been going on, and then getting ready to move has been going on. And then just dealing with little Cookie, Elijah, being sick this last week. So yeah, this week has been great.
Very hectic next 2 weeks for you.
I guess that just leaves me. So mostly just work. I was able to get a bunch of video equipment stuff approved and purchased for work. So I'm going off to this event in Houston in February. So that was pretty cool. I got to unbox a bunch of stuff at work, basically. But
it's always exciting when you're at work and you just get a new shipment of stuff in, into it, and unpack it all, check it out.
Except you don't get to keep it.
Yeah. I know, right?
True.
That's the only downside. And I'm like, oh man, jelly. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And so other than that, in my free time, I've either been relaxing or playing Path of Exile.
Did someone say video games?
Video games.
Video games.
Is that what this is about?
But before we get into video games, let us tell you about Patreon. Yes, that's right. This podcast and everything with our website, ChargedShot, is supported directly by Patreon. That's right. You can help support us by heading on over to patreon.com/ChargedShot. It costs a couple of dollars our way. You get amazing perks like early access to shows, videos, giveaways, and so much more. I have a couple of plans in mind for what I would like to do for special Patreon shows. If we can get the support for that, tell us you want to see that. We can start getting things working. Me and Justin talked briefly. We just mentioned it off air, but we would like to do a Nintendo show. I have something in mind for a wrestling show, if that's something someone's interested in. If you don't have any money to toss our way, no problem. Just head on over to iTunes or Stitcher and leave us a 5-star review and help get the word out. Thank you. All right, so Lo, you've been telling us about Path of Exile.
Yes. Path of Exile. It was a game I had tried it a while back when I first got into PC gaming because I heard it was more or less a Diablo kind of not really clone, but it was kind of like a spiritual successor to the Diablo series. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out because I used to play a lot of Diablo 2 back in the day. And so I got into it and I was like, oh, this game's really cool. And then like I just ended up I stopped playing it for some reason. For one reason or another. I either
You got distracted by something.
Yeah, I probably got distracted by something else. So I picked it up again recently and I'm just remembering how much fun it was, and it's a really cool game. There's a lot of stuff about it that's really familiar to Diablo, and then there's a lot of stuff that's like kind of familiar, and then there's other stuff that's just like, whoa, like why is this in this game? So like it's like every time I play
There's some pretty cool innovations in it, I'll admit.
Yeah. Me and Justin played quite a bit of it, and I'm not sure, I don't remember which character you ended up going with. Is like the ranger type of character. Okay, yeah. And then so hopefully you'll end up playing some more of it in the future, because I know I'm going to be playing this for quite some time, because I don't know, I kind of go through like these sort of not really phases, but just sort of like cycles of like what kind of games I'm into, and I'm kind of in that sort of like Diablo loot fest, like hack and slash dark fantasy sort of phase at the moment. So this game definitely scratches that itch, like definitely, like to the fullest extent for sure. So yeah, I mean there's gonna be a video coming out soon, like we mentioned earlier. So it's gonna be there's gonna be more information in that. It's gonna explain some of like the more basic mechanics. But again, like I said, the more I play this game, the more stuff like I discover about it. So, but yeah, so just keep an eye out for that video because it's coming soon. As soon as I get around to editing it.
Yeah, I never played Path of Exile. I've booted it up and it always crashed on me. It's something to do with servers, or it just didn't work. So I never got to try it. But I've played. I was a big time fan of Diablo back in the day. I used to play that LAN with my family.
Nice.
The first one and the second one. I beat Diablo 3 like twice, but I didn't enjoy myself playing it. So I don't know, when it first launched, there's just something off about it that I didn't enjoy as much as the others.
It's way better now, for the record.
Yeah, I've heard that they've done so much to it to make it better. I played Torchlight. I didn't finish that one. Same with 2. I played a little bit less of 2 though. It was a good game. It's just that I didn't have anyone to co-op with, and that's kind of, I guess that's the driving force. What for me was, that's a game that I played with other people ever since the first one. Just going around smashing up enemies, getting loot, coming back to town, talking to old Deckard Cain.
Stay a while and listen.
Yeah. So Path of Exile might be something I might want to check out, try and get it running again. I heard they had a new update to it too.
Yeah, I'm not sure because there've been quite a few updates since the last time I played, so I'm not sure which one's the most recent. But yeah, the devs are still like supporting it to the fullest extent. And one of the coolest things about this game is that like it's pretty much free to play in the truest form of the word, like, because any microtransaction in the game, other than adding tabs to your stash, which you get 4 starting out, which is pretty generous. And so other than that, other than buying more stash, it's just like purely cosmetic stuff. And you can there are like certain levels of like supporter like level type things which give you, again, more cosmetic rewards, and they actually look pretty cool too. So I don't know. If I continue playing this game, I know I'm going to stack up some loot, so I'll probably invest in some stash tabs at some point for sure. So
yeah, give them a couple of dollars for their effort.
Yeah, exactly. I like supporting devs that like have a really good like free to play model. Like if it's something that like I really enjoy and yeah, I'll spend $5 on some cosmetic stuff. Why not? I'll look a little bit cooler in the game.
Well, yeah, because if they see that their model isn't working, then they're going to do it the same way as everyone else. So it's good to kind of support those developers that don't force it on you, so that they don't feel the need to force it on you.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah, I have pretty much still been on the Final Fantasy VI train. Not the Phantom train, the hype train.
The bad train.
The Phantom hype train, yep.
Yeah. Because I I guess I forgot how long that game is, and I just kind of keep going, and I'm like, oh, surely I'm getting to, like, you know, a specific point of like, I don't want to spoil anything, but, like, when the game kind of changes up, and then there's still more to do before that, so it's like, well, crap, I didn't realize how long this game is. But I did do a few fun little streams this week, that, you know, a few of you are probably aware of. And so I got to play some more Final Fantasy 15, which was pretty cool, because it's been a few weeks since I've gotten to load that up again. And it was pretty awesome. Like, there's some moments in that game that are kind of slow and just, like, don't necessarily feel like a chore, but don't really feel like they're, like, doing anything important. And then there's stuff like the Titan battle, which was just amazing.
You did, you did a Titan battle, and then you used the Titan in the next stream after that.
The summon.
No, I got Ramu, however.
Yeah.
Still don't know how to say that.
The argument
It's
continues.
Ramu. That's how I've always said it, is Ramu.
The Thunder God I used in the next part that felt like Metal Gear Solid. With all the stealth and everything. But yeah, that was pretty cool too. But I definitely like the Titan battle a lot more. That's like the highlight of the game so far. So that was a lot of fun, and it kind of made me actually want to play that game more. Because I think I was kind of content for a little while of just like putting it aside while I got into some other stuff. But now I'm like, man, like I want to catch up on stuff so I can play some more Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, man.
So that game's pretty effective.
That game's pretty good. I like like I said before, I think I said it on here, that I like the later half stuff more. Mm-hmm. And it's more of that stuff that you were doing, like getting that Titan and then using Rama. It's more grandiose in scale. At once you get to the next main city, it's like a water city or something. But yeah, it gets more grandiose there, and then it kind of shrinks back down to the more human-sized stuff, and then it kind of goes insane. It's kind of like Metal Gear with the insaneness, which is what I like. Just
yeah, I mean, like most of the story and stuff of that game is pretty much garbage.
Yeah,
it's not terrible, but it's not like memorable. So I really live for like those kind of nice little character moments, like that, you know, cute little secret date with what's her name? But also like the kind of the big moments, like the Titan battle and stuff like that just feel like epic. Because that game is so pretty, like those moments stand out, whereas like the long stretches of story is just like, okay, come on. Like I don't know what's going on because I haven't watched the movie or the anime that apparently you have to watch in order to understand this. Yeah, so let's just move on.
It definitely does that. You feel like so disconnected with some of the stuff that happens. You're like, who's that? What's this? Who's doing that? What's going on here? I thought he was with this person, but it doesn't do it in a way that's mysterious, like a mystery novel or something like that. It just does it in a very confusing way that doesn't make any sense.
Right. They just introduces a new character and it's like, oh, so that's this, like, you're connected to this person somehow, but you're not going to talk about it because you should already know.
Yeah.
And then just move on. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
They do wrap it up in the end, though. At least the main plot points. And I think they're going to have story DLC, later on.
Yeah, that's why I'm not, like, in too much of a hurry to get through it. Because I've heard at some points it's just, like, one of your party members, like, goes off. And, like, that's where the DLC comes in. So I assume if the DLC is out by the time you get to that part, it just, like, switches over to that story. Otherwise, you probably have to go back to those points and, like, activate the DLC.
Yeah, there's a part where you're by yourself for a while. Yeah, I think me and you are the only ones that have played it here. So
I had a question though about Final Fantasy 15. Are there any like online elements to it, or are they planning to add any online elements?
They are actually. There aren't currently, but the last piece of DLC is supposed to be some kind of multiplayer mode. They haven't really said much about it yet. But
there's supposed to be some co-op mode coming.
Co-op mode, huh?
Because I think it's probably cool. Like maybe a specific like map. Because I heard that towards the end of the game you ride in a train and you go past like probably 2 or 3 like fully like modeled out map areas that you never access. So I assume those are probably for DLC or like possibly that multiplayer mode where I imagine you'll team up with like 3 friends and like that'll be your 4-person party. And then, you go do quests like in that map. Most likely. That's what I'd assume.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I like co-op. Jolly cooperation. Always down for that.
Yeah, so I've been playing a couple open world games, piggybacking off of the open worldness of Final Fantasy 15. I've been playing a lot of The Division.
Cool game.
Did I
think
mention
so.
that on the last podcast? No, or no?
Maybe.
Well, you mentioned the game. I don't know if you mentioned you were
I don't
playing
think
it a lot. But...
Yeah, I've been playing that a lot. Usually, whenever I can with my dad. That's like our co-op game right now.
That's really cute.
And there's parts of that game that are like absolutely terrible, and parts of that game that are actually pretty decent.
Glowing recommendation.
Yeah.
It's very
on the box art. Parts of this game are actually pretty decent.
yeah, but I don't know. I've been having so many conflicts with that thing. Whenever I play it, it's an MMO. It's basically an MMO. It's like a third-person Destiny, where there are certain parts where you need to be certain leveled, or else the enemies are out leveling you and killing you. In order to level up and do the main missions, you have to do a bunch of encounters, which are really garbage. There's one where you have to go into an area that's infected and then hit a button, and then you're timed, and you have to run through this gauntlet of guys to hit another button, and then run through a bunch of guys and get lost and hit another button. It's like that. Those kind of side missions just infuriate me because it doesn't show you anywhere to go. You get caught on geometry. It's a hassle to turn around and go back the other way if you're lost. Just getting stuck on doors. There's stuff like that are just absolutely terrible. But the actual shooting part of the game is pretty decent. Like all the different skills and abilities that you can have. I usually play medic in these type of games, so I'm throwing like med packs out and doing revives and stuff. So yeah, when the gameplay stuff is actually going on, it's a lot of fun. Like getting your different weapons and your different loot. It's basically like the Diablo side where you're getting your loot, you're leveling up. So when you do the big encounters, those are actually pretty cool because they have like different level of bosses coming out that you have to take down in certain ways. So yeah, it's a grind to get to the good stuff, and the only reason I'm playing it is because I'm playing it with my dad. So yeah, he loves those type of games like Destiny and The Division.
I think it's so cute that you play games with your dad. Let me just say.
I've been playing games with my dad ever since I was a kid. So
yeah, no, my parents aren't into video games.
My dad's actually a big reason of why I'm into video games. It's just, don't play with them anymore, obviously.
I'm the only gamer to come out of my family. Like, literally. Nobody else in my family plays anything remotely close to video games. Not even, like, phone games, I would think.
Really? Not even phone games? Not like Candy Crush?
No. Not that I'm aware of.
Every time I come into the living room, my mom is playing Candy Crush. It's freaking crazy. Like, she's tapping away on those things. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, no. I don't know what happened, but I'm the only one that came out of that family as a gamer.
Yeah.
And I didn't really start as a kid because, one, we were poor, like, and two, I'm a girl, so they obviously weren't buying that for me. 'Cause, things like that aren't marketed towards little girls. So it wasn't until like middle school that I really started getting into gaming, and that's because I started dating gamers, and they're the ones who got me introduced into like video games full time. So I'm like the only one that came out of that family as a gamer. My brother just recently bought his son a console, but his son is like 10. So it's not like they're being raised on it like Elijah is, who's had a Game Boy SP since he was 2.
Yeah. I was definitely born with a controller in my hand with my dad. He used to have like a ColecoVision as well, but I think he sold that one off. We still have our old Atari that we used to have.
Nice.
Got rid of the black and white TV though.
Yeah, I never really figured out if it was like just a joke or what. But my mom used to always say that like I was basically destined to be into this kind of crap. Not literally crap, but she doesn't really understand it. She just supports it. Because they got an Atari as a wedding gift.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Like, I know they had an Atari because I remember it growing up. Like, it was, old. We didn't really play it anymore, but like they still had it. But I never knew if it was actually a wedding gift or if that was just kind of a joke. Like, we've had video games since before you were born type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing I was playing was Mafia 3. I like that game as a game I chill with. Like, when I'm not really doing too much. Like, if I'm just listening to a podcast or watching a video, I put that on. And I go around and do all the open world stuff, like unlocking areas and collecting Playboys and Vargas. I think it's called Vargas. That's basically just like, there's basically nudity in this game where you just look at Playboys and posters. That's not the reason I like this game though.
Sure, it's not.
Because I don't look at it. I just collect the item.
I just read the articles, I swear.
No joke. There are actual full scans of Playboy. You can read the articles.
But you're not reading the articles, are you?
I'm not even looking at the collections. I'm just collecting them because they're collectibles.
It's just one reason to like the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said last time with The Witcher, like I just go around and do all the side quests and stuff. The main gameplay loop is, have you guys ever played Godfather 2?
Nope.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you capture areas, you give them to your capos, and you move different lieutenants and stuff up the rank to get better perks like better hitman squads, better phone timeouts. Okay, so there's this thing where you cut the phone line so no one can call for backup. It's pretty cool, lasts longer. The best part of Mafia 3 is the presentation. So when you do a hit on a main capo against your enemy, it goes into this old documentary style, and it looks at like you're in the future, you're in the present basically, and they're talking about all the things that Lincoln Clay has done in a documentary style. So they're talking to the CIA agent that basically recruited you to go kill this guy that has betrayed you and killed off your family basically, and he's telling this jury like what you've done, like all the people you've killed, and like he's proud of it because he's a CIA operative that actually got shit done.
Oh, nice.
So it's pretty cool. I like Donovan. That's his name. He's a pretty cool character. I like how straightforward he is with this stuff. He's not like hiding behind the secret agency. He's like, goddamn right, I did all this stuff. So yeah, Mafia 3's been pretty good for that. It's a pretty cool game. Gameplay loop might be a bit repetitive for some, but I like the shooting in that game. It's really well done. It's really fun to just throw a grenade and kill 4 guys just standing around talking about white supremacy. That's another major fact in that game, is that there's a lot of white supremacy stuff. Like it takes place in the 1960s, and there's just people calling you the N-word. I just did a mission that took out the entire KKK.
Mm-hmm.
Like I killed the dude and then I hung him up on a cross and it burned him.
Sounds like a cool game.
Yeah, Lincoln Clay doesn't fuck around, man. He gets shit done.
Nice.
So, and then the last thing I've been playing really is I've just been getting back into Rocket League. Just doing a couple matches a night. It's so much fun getting back into that game because I've put at least 200 hours into it, I think. And yeah, I love just scoring a goal. It's the most satisfying feeling in the world.
Especially when you do some cool flips and like then get it in by accident. You're like, oh, I'm so cool. Yeah.
That's the Justin style.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So Justin, you want to take us into the news?
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. We don't have a theme. So I saw that there's kind of two points of interest we want to really get into. One is probably a shorter discussion, so we're going to start there before it devolves into madness. And I saw that Square Enix and Marvel both posted like on the same day that they had, projects in the works. And a lot of people, of course, immediately started speculating that like they were, like Square was helping with the Marvel movie or, something along those lines. And then they announced that it's like basically the start of a...
I think they were actually thinking that it was going to be a Kingdom Hearts Marvel thing.
Yeah,
first.
I didn't actually think about that. That's probably another option. But anyway, they ended up announcing like the start of a multi-game like shared universe of Marvel games. Basically, they like put out a proper thing saying that this is a continuing deal, which I thought was really cool. And then they showed a teaser trailer for what's essentially looks like a Marvel or like an Avengers game. And it made me really happy for one, because it's Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Software, which did, Tomb Raider and Deus Ex respectively. both really good franchises that have kind of come back into popular light recently because of some amazing developers. And considering we've had kind of a long history of bad Marvel games, I'm really curious about where this could lead. Because if you factor this in, along with the Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy game, the new Marvel vs. Capcom game, and like the recent success of like the Lego Marvel games, like it's a pretty good resurgence of, possibly like licensed like movie tie-in games. Because I don't necessarily think this is like going to be an Infinity War game or anything, but it definitely feels like they're putting out the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale game around the same time as the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Again, I don't think it's going to be necessarily a tie-in, but they're releasing it around that time on purpose. And I feel like they said the next time we're going to hear about the Avengers game is going to be like 2018, which is probably close to the time that Infinity War is going to come out. So I kind of I guess my point of topic here would be like, how do you feel about this in the world of like, so many licensed properties and stuff being put on the big screen, having game tie-ins that aren't necessarily like licensed properties, like, there aren't like the Home Alone games and things like that, but like kind of games in the same vein as the movies, that aren't necessarily tied in story-wise, but are released around the same time to build the popularity.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing a resurgence in, like you said, the licensed games, like when they had Lord of the Rings out and all that. They actually, I don't think they ever went away. They just went to mobile.
That's true.
And then I think that's where most people went for that kind of stuff. But now they're coming back. What it feels like they're all coming back to console now, especially with Marvel.
But again, they're not really licensed games because it's not like they're making, I assume anyway, it's not like they're making an actual like Infinity Wars game. It looks like it's just an Avengers game, like the start of a multi-game, universe, starting with an Avengers game that's going to come out around the time of Infinity War.
I just meant like license as in it's licensed Spider-Man, for instance.
Right. Oh yeah, there's also that new Spider-Man game coming out too that's made by Insomniac. That'll probably be out around the time of, well, I don't know. It's probably not coming out around the time of Spider-Man because there's been like no information on it, which is kind of annoying me.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think it's a really good idea, like a really good way for Marvel to market its smaller or less well-known characters. Because I know that they're planning on expanding the Marvel universe in the movies a lot in the next coming years. And it's probably going to be with a lot of people that most, people that aren't hardcore comic book fans have ever heard of. So I think these games are a really good way to kind of introduce you to a lot of people that you may not have heard before they try to make a big blockbuster movie about them. So I actually think it's really a smart marketing strategy.
Yeah, like they did that with their TV shows before.
Right.
They would bring in new characters that were going to have movies to introduce the kids to them. And then the kids are going to be like, I want a Squirrel Girl movie. I want to go see the Squirrel Girl movie.
Right.
Which, come on, give us a Squirrel Girl movie with Anna Kendrick. She wants to make it. Just make it happen.
I've never heard of Squirrel Girl before the internet started talking about it. So
Right.
She's become like the new like poster child of Marvel.
Yeah.
Well, I actually had something that Thomas mentioned earlier when I heard that when I first saw the trailer for the Marvel Avengers project, I had assumed it was going to be like a fighting game, kind of like a Marvel versus Capcom or like
Rise of the Imperfects.
Yeah, or maybe even
Marvel Nemesis.
Even the DC, like Injustice, DC did an Injustice game, which was like a fighting game between DC characters. I had kind of assumed that that's what this was going to be. Oh, that's a good
thought, actually.
Yeah, but because they have Square on it, I think most people are speculating that it's going to be kind of like an action RPG kind of game.
Well, it's being developed by Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, so they've done Deus Ex and they've done Tomb Raider, the newest ones. Which the latest Tomb Raider didn't sell very well, but it was a really good game.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be more of an action shooter, third-person shooter, or stealth.
I mean, and they've had those games before, like, I'm trying to remember the name of the games, like X-Men Legends was kind of like that, but it came out
Those were top-down.
Yeah, top-down action
it's
RPG.
a little different.
Yeah.
But they were good, and they had that kind of wide variety of characters available to you.
Yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the same vein as the X-Men Legends games, though.
Mm-hmm.
I feel this is going to be more of like a behind-the-shoulder, like kind of third-person action game, like Tomb Raider.
I mean, that's kind of what it looks like, but the trailer didn't give us very much to go off of. It's all pretty much speculation at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, another reason that I'm excited that Marvel and Square are working together is because of that whole Disney tie-in. Does that mean that eventually they'll work together to put something Marvel in Kingdom Hearts, which is something that Thomas mentioned earlier?
That's what everyone's been wanting, is Marvel and Kingdom Hearts and Star Wars and Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I hear from people that love that series.
I don't want that, actually.
You're the only person I know that doesn't want that and loves this
Well, like,
series.
it's not so much, like, if it happened, I would be happy, probably. But, like, it doesn't feel like it fits.
I mean, I get that kind of, because it's, you know, animated Disney movies and then there's real life superheroes. So it is kind of weird, but I think it would still be cool to see.
I mean, look at the Pirates of the Caribbean world they had in Kingdom Hearts 2. That looked like
Let's
garbage.
not look at the Pirates of the Caribbean world.
Like, that was something that didn't fit, and they tried to make it fit.
It really did. The music was bad too. The music was pretty bad. I was kind of upset they didn't like use the actual like music, the orchestrated like music for like the battle like sequences. That kind of like bothered me. But yeah, I can understand how you wouldn't be that excited for like Star Wars, for example, in Kingdom Hearts, because then they can just easily just be like, oh, the Heartless and the Dark Side, let's just slap them together, and then
Darth Vader with the Heartless. Oh my god, I would.
yeah, right. For him, I can imagine Darth Vader force choking a Heartless or something.
That would be pretty cool.
I mean, honestly, that makes more sense than Marvel does. But with Star Wars, they could kind of do it with the style of, like, Star Wars Rebels. Like, that's an animated thing that they could easily kind of adapt to the Kingdom Hearts universe.
It is, yeah.
I like that a little bit more than, like, Marvel that just feels like a bunch of superheroes. Like, it doesn't, I don't see how they could make, like, an actual Marvel world work. Maybe a specific property, maybe. But, I don't know. It just...
Yeah, I can see that.
I kind of want Marvel to stay by itself, and that's not just because like I'm like a fanboy purist or anything. I feel like there's already so much in that universe that they don't really need to cross it over with everything else Disney because it would be watered down.
I'm going to shoot a what's it called? Oh my god, what's that word? Just kind of a prediction. If anything were to fall into Kingdom Hearts from Disney Marvel, I would assume that it might be Guardians of the Galaxy, because they are opening a Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disneyland California next year. I believe
think Guardians of
within
the Galaxy would be the best fit for it too, honestly.
Yeah. So if anything, my prediction would be because they have a ride opening up very soon, that, you know, that might happen.
Okay.
If anything.
So it seems like everyone here is pretty excited to see what's going to happen with the Square Marvel deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I actually kind of like, I know that Marvel vs. Capcom to an extent is a Marvel fighting game, but I kind of do want like an Injustice type, like Marvel fighting game now, actually.
Yeah, like the Injustice game was really good. The
It
comic
was
that
really
was
good.
released beside it was pretty damn good too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it looked great.
Yeah. I'm super excited for the sequel too. Because for one, it looks like Joker's dead. He was one of the worst characters in that game.
Pretty cool.
But also some of the new ones are really cool. So is that all we have to say about the Marvel news?
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not enough information right now to do much more, and I kind of hate the ones that speculate wildly. Like, you know, the Star Wars title, for example, like making an hour-long podcast just about, like, the meaning behind the title.
The Last Jedi. The Force Awakens The Last Jedi.
From his nap. The other piece of gaming news, kind of that's been really prevalent lately, is the tech specs for the Xbox codename Scorpio, which basically says that it is essentially a next generation console, like supposedly 4.5 times as powerful as the regular Xbox One. But it also will not get any exclusive games that cannot be played on the Xbox One. So really all they're doing is shooting themselves in the foot by making a console that can play Xbox One games really well, but not get anything that the Xbox One can't do. So what are they using that extra power for, aside from just like letting things run at 4K, 60 frames, and like probably put out a VR headset? It doesn't seem worth it.
This is their version of PS4 Pro. Basically.
Yeah, but it's more powerful than the PS4 Pro. It's the most powerful console out there.
I've actually heard, though, that there are no plans for them to create their own VR headset. So
it'll probably be a deal with Oculus because you see it at their stages all the time.
I mean, that makes sense. It already works with PC, and Xbox One is essentially a Windows 10 shell that's running tech specs.
Yeah, all the new consoles are really.
But specifically, that is a Windows 10 based. That's why they have the the games anywhere type thing where you can play all that stuff on your Windows PC and stuff. But kind of my question out there, obviously, if aside from just why make this if they're not going to put any exclusive content on it? Why make it that powerful? I should say. But also, what do you think this means for the future of Microsoft?
Well, I mean, not to be a pessimist, but I don't feel like Microsoft or Xbox has been relevant since the days of the big console war back when the Xbox and the PS3 was coming out. Yeah, I don't feel like it's been in the forefront of gaming for a really long time. So I was kind of excited about the Scorpio maybe reviving it, but what Justin said about not having any exclusive games for that console doesn't make any sense. Trying to make it a whole new console, but not making it necessary to buy that game to play any of the games going forward. Why would anybody buy it? Especially if it's going to be really, really expensive, which people speculate it will be because of its specs. It just doesn't make any sense.
Just fucking Microsoft, what are you doing? This was your chance. This was the one chance to cut off the Xbox One and start anew. Exactly what they did with the Xbox and the Xbox 360.
Right.
And how Nintendo admitted that the Wii U was a failure, so they put out the Switch 5 years after. A pretty short console life, but they're okay, this console isn't working, let's put out something new. Xbox should have done that too. We've
had short console lives in the past. It's not something we're alien to, right? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. When they were saying before with their backwards compatibility, they've been really good with backwards compatibility, bringing on new 360 titles to the Xbox One if you've bought it digitally before. Kind of like with your Steam library, right?
Right.
And this is what they could have done with their Xbox One games. They could have brought them all over to Scorpio and hey, we know you've been with us for a while. We know you supported Xbox One. Here's all your old games working with this new console that we've built.
Right.
It just blows my mind. I actually don't see Microsoft being in the console space for maybe the next 10 years, maybe 5 years. I see them shifting over to PC and leaving consoles behind and maybe building a computer. They basically build computers. That's what Microsoft is. They don't... Xbox is one of their biggest brands and well-known brands, but they have invested interests elsewhere with computers, tablets, phones, and even their phone division's not as good as Xbox. And this is their one chance to cut off the Xbox One and bring it over to a new generation. They didn't do that, and I think it's going to shoot themselves in the foot.
Just sort of playing off of what you just said, Thomas. I feel like at this point, they have options as far as how they can proceed with this new quote-unquote console that they're coming out with. They could either... Because, I mean, I feel like even from the beginning, the original Xbox was more like a computer than it was a console really in the first place, Because, I mean, it had a hard drive, you can rip CDs, you can play music while you're playing your games and stuff. It was essentially like a dumbed down PC, more or less, quote unquote. So
they had a media, I think it was in the first one, a media player, or maybe it was the 360 where they had the Windows Home media player.
Yeah. That was a cool feature, actually. I actually used that feature, and it was actually pretty legit. I remember at first, when they first introduced the Xbox, it was only certain games you can listen to your own music with, custom soundtracks, they called it. But
mostly sports games.
Yeah, mostly sports games and whatnot. But then, eventually, with the 360, it just became a thing. So, I mean, it's almost like they released, a gimped PC, but it's slowly becoming, an actual PC. So I feel like they have an opportunity here at the same time too. So basically, I feel like they could, if they're smart about it, what they could do is market this new console, because there's been talk of modular consoles and stuff like that in the first place anyways, and with Valve completely face planting with the Steam machine, they have an opportunity to market this next console as a quote unquote living room PC that's modular, upgradable, or something like that. It just really depends on how they market it. They can market it as a PC or they can market it as a console. It doesn't really matter either way, because they're all going to share the same games. And they're all going to be working off of Windows 10 more or less. And I kind of feel like they're trying to unify all their devices anyways with Windows 10 and their tablet mode. And now, then they had now they're doing you can have the same libraries with the new Xbox and the Xbox One and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like at this point, it's just a question of how they're going to market their products and how they're actually going to manufacture their product moving forward. Because what they could do is make a very powerful living room PC, charge a little bit more for it, have a little bit longer of a life cycle or whatnot, but make it upgradable. I don't know, maybe make a deal with NVIDIA or AMD, something like that, and make like a GPU for this console or whatever. I mean, then you kind of start getting into like proprietary hardware and stuff like that. But I'm not saying it would be perfect, but they have several options here, and depending on what they choose to do, they could either bring two demographics together, or they could just totally fail and disappoint one demographic while the other is relatively unfazed.
Yeah, and I think their main issue here is there's not like a lot of good ways to market their consoles anymore.
Yeah, I feel like their messaging is going to need to be more clear coming in, what is it, June when E3 starts? Yeah, so I feel like they're being very hazy with their messaging right now because they don't want to upset everyone that's on the Xbox One.
I mean, like, I really like that they did the Play Anywhere option. Like, with their first-party titles, you can get them on PC. That was a really good idea for them. It was kind of also the beginning of the end for them, because if an Xbox One is essentially just a PC that, is not as powerful as a computer, but specifically built for playing games, and they allow you to play those games on your PC, which is probably more powerful than the Xbox is, why would you get a new Xbox? Like, if you already have one, that's fine. It makes sense. But they're basically selling this as a better version of what they already have for people with like 4K TVs, things like that. But again, if they don't put it out at the right price, people could just put together a PC that could probably do 4K anyway, hooked up to their computer or hooked up to their TV, and have like a full media PC and be able to play those same games and everything. Plug in a USB Xbox One controller, good to go. But they make good games, so they want to put them out to, as much like audience as possible. And since the Xbox hasn't been selling well, they're like, well, we already own these operating systems as Microsoft, so why wouldn't we make them available to anyone with that operating system? Which again, makes sense. But that's why they should probably just stop making consoles and be a developer. Like, pull a Sega. Sega's been doing great, honestly, since they stopped making consoles and put all their money towards, like, actually producing and developing games. Microsoft could do the same thing, because really the only thing they're losing money on is their hardware costs.
I completely agree with what Justin was saying. It feels like they're trying to kind of unify gaming, like PC gamers and console gamers, by trying to throw something in the middle. But basically what they're doing is possibly making a console that's too expensive for what most console gamers want, and is not going to be as powerful as a PC gamer's PC. So they're kind of making something in the middle that nobody wants. Nobody wants that middle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the casual ones will get the cheaper Xbox One when it, goes cheaper when the Scorpio comes out. And, like, the real tech-savvy ones will probably just get a PC that can play that stuff.
Exactly. So they're trying to do a middle ground, but nobody wants that middle. So where is their demographic? Yeah.
It's like a weird third option that they're just kind of taking a chance on that people might snatch up. But I don't know. Like I said, they might as like I said they might as well like go like Alienware with it or something like that, and just make like console sized PCs or something. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't know. Whatever they're doing now is like it seems like what are you guys doing?
I was thinking that off of low, with the Steam machines. I would like to see Microsoft just team up with Valve and make Steam machines like that's actually decent for people.
That'd be cool too. Because to be honest with you, the Steam, because I have a Steam machine currently, and I'm actually going to install Windows 10 onto it, because the Steam OS, like it runs the games like fairly well, but like it doesn't run them as well as it could on Windows 10 currently. That's one thing I feel like. Because that's another thing. When I install the Windows 10 on this thing, it's basically an Alienware Alpha. It's not an Alienware Steam machine. It's a Alienware Alpha. So, what was the point I was trying to make? I kind of lost my train of thought. but yeah, I think it's a really good premise. The only problem that Valve had was that they had too many different variants of it and too many different descriptions, and they just confused people. They made it kind of like a luxury item for like Steam users, essentially. It
was a test bed. They were just testing what that would look like, right?
That's what it seems like. I don't know, but
yeah.
I mean,
Valve is in the business of just putting out weird, random stuff.
Just for the sake of doing it.
If it hits, it hits. If it doesn't hit, then come up with something else.
Right? Yeah.
Right?
Because Gabe has too much money.
Yeah, they got so much money, they can do whatever the hell they want with it.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like if they're smart about it, they could bring consoles and the whole console and PC thing together, or get more people that normally would be into consoles into PC gaming. As far as like, because one thing I hear a lot of like console gamers say about, as far as objections about getting into PC game, is that like the top one that I always hear is that it's too difficult, or it's too laborious, or whatever, this and that, blah blah blah. But if you sell somebody a PC that's already put together, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, in order to upgrade, all you have to do is just take this part out and put the new part in, and then that's it. You know, if you take the whole building part out of it, then again you can kind of charge a little bit more. But if you make a superior product, or if you make a good product, you can charge more. You know, if it doesn't break down or anything, if it has good hardware, it'll be a little more powerful than, like a console would or could be, and charge more for it. And then you can also get people sort of not really, well, for lack of a better word, trained on, being like, getting into PC gaming and upgrading their hardware. And then again, they'd have access to an open platform, and they have more options and stuff. So I don't know. Again, it depends on how they choose to go about it. So
yeah, I don't see them necessarily teaming up with Steam or Valve, because they already have their Xbox marketplace where they sell all the, the games that way. And I would see them more doing things like, having little machines that run Windows 10 and are to the tech specs of like what would be needed. But as, modular, so it can be upgraded. So maybe it's a base model of like 200 or something. Like at a very reasonable rate, it can play Xbox One games, but it's not going to go like 4K or anything. And then you can like kind of slot in different parts as you need, like better hard drive, things like that. But it is essentially like a Windows 10 computer that just has like these modular bricks that, kind of plug in to a specialized motherboard. So it's all that work is taken out of it. So they basically become competitors to Valve instead of teaming up with them. Because this is a consumerism nation, and that's what happens.
It's kind of like taking the idea they tried to and then just doing something better with it, theoretically.
Having competitors always makes it better, right? Pushes everyone.
Yeah, if they can hold up, because I mean, it would have to have more than just the Xbox stuff. Like theoretically, it could still run Steam. They would pay a small licensing fee to have Steam on it, but not be native. And then have, like, the native Xbox store be on there, but then it can, like, sideload Steam, or,
Yeah, one thing I like about the Xbox store is that I can buy a movie on the Xbox and watch it on my PC or on the TV downstairs.
Yeah, they have that benefit, too. Music, movies, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just bought Kingsglaive, and so I can watch it on my Xbox or computer.
Oh, nice. Isn't Windows 10 getting a game mode also? Yeah, I don't know. I heard that like there's supposed to be some like game mode for Windows 10 at some point. It's just basically like simplifying the UI or something like that. And there was another kind of
Oh, you mean Windows Media Center that they killed, and then now we're just gonna put back?
oh jeez. No, yeah, I heard about some games.
I remember the old, was it the old Fallout games? I think like if you bought them on Steam, I want to say like they still had to go through like the Windows Media Center or something.
No, you had to log in through Xbox for Windows, I think it was called, something like that, and you would get achievements. I actually really liked that system because it actually worked for me. A lot of people didn't, but it would allow me to have 2 different sets of achievements for the same game. So I just double my achievement score.
Yeah, so it'd be like that kind of idea where they have like multiple stores available to you, but the main one is Microsoft. Kind of like the Amazon Fire Stick. If you plug that into your TV and like look up, it's just like a certain show, it'll tell you, oh, this show is available on Amazon for, this much money. Also, it's available on Netflix for free and so on and so on. So they prioritize their own stuff, but then have the others available.
I can see something like that because they can literally. They're also, I mean, just with all the features they're adding to consoles, I mean, first they could play games. Now you can play games and listen to music. Now you can play games, listen to music, and stream videos online. And they're just adding more and more features that PCs have had for years. So it's like you can literally just manufacture these upgradable, modular, sort of entertainment center, sort of like console box PC type things. I don't know. I don't know what you would call it, but again, it just comes down to how they market it. And to be honest with you, I don't know, they could even still call it an Xbox if they wanted to.
Because the name brand is still pretty good.
Yeah, if they stop confusing it. The third system should not be the Xbox One. Just saying.
No, it should not. Because I see that even that, like the Xbox One, that kind of sounds like they were trying to go for that whole one system, like one like place to go for all your needs and crap. But
yeah, that was the idea.
Obviously,
right?
that was the idea, but obviously that wasn't. That's not what happened. But
yeah.
If they actually took their hardware and their technology in that direction, though, I feel like that could be more beneficial to them than trying to divide their resources as far as, having them develop for consoles and, as well as, the rest of the
Microsoft isn't going away. They're obviously going to be successful.
Yeah. We'll
they are probably just not going to be successful as consoles.
But then you also have to think, like, if they are, essentially a hardware manufacturer, like, yes, Windows as an operating system, it's software technically, but they've been in the business of building PCs since like they started pretty much. So would they get out of the business of building hardware as far as, Xboxes are concerned and just become a software developer of video games? It's hard to say that, but I think they should, definitely. But when you start as something, it's kind of hard to get away from that.
I mean, I think just because Windows has its hands in so much, I don't think it would be that hard for them to get away from it. They're into, phones and computers and consoles and, this and that and the other thing. So, I mean, maybe people will remember that they did consoles, but I don't think it would be that hard for them to step away from it and go towards PCs.
Watch Scorpio just be a PC. It'll just be a gaming PC. I'd laugh so hard. I'm laughing now. I would love that. I would love that so much. A big gaming PC that comes with the control. Either way, I'm interested to see what they end up doing. And I hope that whatever they end up doing is the best decision for both them as a company and both for us as consumers and gamers. Because, I don't know. I feel like it's gaming has just become so, for lack of a better word, mainstream that a lot of the time people can just kind of just throw anything out into the gaming marketplace and be like, oh, look, this is a gaming keyboard, but it's just a regular keyboard with lights on it. And people will be like, oh, cool. And then they'll buy it, So, like, I kind of feel like it's sort of like gaming as a whole, it's just kind of become, like, as far as, like, the whole marketplace and all that, as being a consumer, it's become a place that's been really diluted with alternative facts, I guess you can say.
Alternative facts.
Oh my god, I can't believe you just said that.
Wow.
You said the thing.
I said it, that's right. Alternative facts. So, I don't know. Like, it's hard to it's hard to know who's being actual and who's not being actual. So I don't know. I just feel like if people these companies can just be more straightforward and honest and transparent with their marketing, then gaming as a whole can sort of progress on more of like a social sort of kind of monetary sort of aspect. Because I mean, I don't know. I just stop focusing on the money, you guys. It's about the games. That's all I'm trying to say.
I mean, aren't Microsoft the same ones that put out like an obviously like pre-made CG trailer for Phantom Dust and then immediately after E3 canceled it because they didn't want to admit that, you know, like at the conferences they had nothing to show? Well, it was pretty soon after. Like there was something like you know, with Scalebound being canceled. Like everything that was shown that year of E3 has since been canceled, and it just proves that like they literally had nothing to show that year. So they just, like, made stuff for all these games that, you know, they said were in development and that we'd never see, so it didn't look like they were failing. And then now, like, they've got, and now they've got, you know, like, basically I've come to the point where I don't believe things are coming from Microsoft until they actually come out and, like, I see them, you know, in near final form.
I mean, that's how you should react with everyone that announces anything until it comes out.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. They've done it more, I'd say, though.
But Scalebound was actually in development in some form for like 7 years.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was being developed by Platinum. I guess, yeah, I think they just had really bad blood behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. That was just an example. I was mostly talking about like Phantom Dust and some. I think if they've had a few others that were just CG trailers made by like movie.
Did anyone really care that Phantom Dust was
didn't,
coming? It
but...
didn't look that interesting.
But people cared about Scalebound. Though.
Scalebound looked.
That one actually had a lot of people behind it.
Scalebound looked like it could be good.
So, yeah, a lot of Platinum fans were really interested in it. I don't know. It didn't look that great to me. It looked pretty rough. It looked pretty.
The footage I did
early.
see, it looked like they were trying to blend a couple of different genres. They had that open world aspect, but they also kind of had like the Devil May Cry, like edgy main character sort of deal. And then they had like the dubstep music playing when you fought the enemies and all that crap. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
The guy has the headphones that he puts
like,
on.
Okay, guys, okay. And then, but I mean, the gameplay itself, it looked interesting because it seemed like Devil May Cry, but with like a giant pet that you can tell to like breathe fire on people.
Giant pet dragon.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting concept. So I would have been interested to see it like develop more. And because it like you said, it seemed like it was like really rough, kind of like gameplay and stuff like that. Even like the environments and stuff didn't look that amazing, of course. But
I mean, Platinum is rarely disappointed with their original IPs. Like, their licensed stuff is not great, but, like, you know, if you look at, like, Bayonetta or Nier, like, the new Nier is supposed to be really good. Like, that's, I mean, they do well when they're just given creative freedom.
Yeah.
They weren't given creative freedom.
Yeah.
And they got mad, and it got canceled.
Yeah. That's actually what I heard. That there was issues with creative freedom, but not only that, I heard that there was issues with the game, actual technical difficulties that they were trying to work out with Microsoft, and Microsoft wasn't budging on their budget. I heard that they were having trouble getting the game to run properly on the console that it was being created for, and they were not getting any help from Microsoft. And they hold their games to a very high standard according to them and what they said, and they were really, really irritated that they would have to scale down the game in order to make it work for the console.
Hey, you got to make the game work. You're the developer. Like, they give you millions and millions of dollars to make a game, and they try to help them out by making it as much as they can. But if they can't make that game, then screw it. They have to cut off the finances,
see,
right?
Because there have been issues like that before, where there have been like creative differences, or the dev studio doesn't have enough like freedom from the publisher. I guess we'll see. We're also, that's another thing about gaming. We're in that age where like you can literally go and start like a crowdfunding type of deal, and have your game funded in and be able to create it in and have it be like your vision, like from the get-go. And also not be restricted by the hardware. Who knows that they might end up making like a completely different game because they might not be able to use the whole Scalebound IP because of whatever reasons.
Yeah, game development is crazy
insane
nowadays, because you can, like you said, you can go and do the Kickstarter thing, but even then you put your promise amount, you meet it. Even then, you probably won't have enough, like at all, close.
Or you might create something that nobody wanted, yeah.
Money number 9.
Mighty Number 9. Double Fine had like a lot of issues, but they were able to produce a pretty good game. I think Broken Age turned out pretty well for the most part. They had to do a double Kickstarter for that though. And yeah, if you watch that documentary with have you guys seen the documentary with Double Fine?
I have not. No.
For that game? No. It really shows you behind the scenes of like how game development is in the current age, and it looks it looks devastating.
That's really sad.
It really does. Like if you look at like a creative director or someone from a studio like before they start a major project versus a picture of them after that project is like ended and over, like they look pretty tore up.
Yeah. So that's going to be it for the Charge Shot Games cast. Thank you everyone for coming on out. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the lovely co-host I have here. So Lo, where can people find you?
You can find me either on Twitter at Nero the Hero. You can also find me on YouTube, also Nero the Hero spelled the exact same way. The best way to reach me is probably Twitter though, because I'm always on Twitter talking to you guys, talking to other people. I'm meeting a lot of really cool people on Twitter actually. So yeah, hit me up on Twitter. That's probably the best way to find me.
Justin.
I'm on YouTube and Twitter as Zero Score. Just look for that. I think on Twitter there's an underscore in there, but I hate saying 0_score. So just, look for Zero Score. I'm on Twitch occasionally, not that often, but sometimes, on Zero Score Gaming. And I'm here as good old me, Justin.
Alvia?
Fishing for Cookie on YouTube. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as Fishing for Cookie, all spelled out. And we're on Twitter as Fishing4 Cookies.
And you can find me, your host, at Tainted Cane on Twitter. You can also find us at ChargedShot, or The ChargedShot on Twitter. And until then, guys, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.